Reality is much more complex than any judgment of right or wrong encourages you to believe. When you really understand the ethical, spiritual, social, economic, and psychological forces that shape individuals, you will see that people's choices are not based on a desire to hurt. Instead, they are in accord with what they know and what worldviews are available to them. Most are doing the best they can, given what information they've received and what problems they are facing. Everything that exists, everything within all creation, manifests through the harmonic vibration of light and sound. Everything that exists is light and sound. Everything that exists is, at its most basic form, simply pure energy. And energy is the stuff that drives the universe itself. All things are created from this energy. If you really get down to it and look at reality on a quantum level, it's all about different vibrational frequencies of light and sound. Everything. And it's all connected because all is energy. What we experience in the reality that we live in is that everything is connected by energy, and the energy permeates everything, much like the water permeates everything that exists within the ocean. You see, we're actually swimming in an ocean too, folks. It's an ocean of energy. We are quite literally moving through an ocean made of energy that permeates absolutely everything. And this is why everything is connected. This is why everything is one. Everything comes from a single source. And this is how we are connected, and it's how we are also completely separate. Now, when you really begin to get a grasp on this, and you really begin to figure out what's going on here, and you realize that the body is simply a biological computer that's downloading a specific frequency that you experience as yourself, you really begin to question why human consciousness is in such a disunited state. You begin to see how easy it would actually be to change reality. And you have to also begin to question how we got into this disunited state. We only have 3% of our DNA active. We're only experiencing a very, very small bandwidth of reality, and that most of our body's shut down. Our pineal gland is completely inoperative. When you really look at the entire human organism from an energetic perspective, it is something that is virtually inoperative. The higher senses are simply not functioning. The connection and the ability to be able to read and decode the energy field around us is virtually non-existent. And because of this, we are literally experiencing about 3% of reality. If you had a car and it was operating to 3% of its capability, if you had a computer that was functioning on 3% of its processor power, able to access 3% of the internet and use 3% of its graphics, in both cases you would consider your machinery to be inoperative. And yet what we have is human consciousness driving a vehicle that is in exactly this same inoperative state. But we don't realize it's happening because we don't look at reality from the correct perspective. What I'm attempting to convey here is the concept of the energetic universe, an energetic universe that functions entirely upon electrical stimuli. And it's the space itself that is real. It's the space that contains all of this energy. What we perceive to be blank, empty space, it's not empty at all. It's full of energy. And this energy is the real stuff of the universe. And all matter is simply divisions in space. It's sections of energy that have coalesced to form matter based on perception. This information is known very well by many indigenous tribes, and this is why the elite went to such an extraordinary effort in order to wipe out these indigenous tribes, because they wished to hide this information. And indeed, most of what's been done to suppress these indigenous cultures, and most of what's been done within modern society through the application of our left brain education and our religious institutions, has been to suppress this knowledge, to suppress this understanding of reality from people, because it's a very empowering understanding. And having this understanding helps people to think outside of the box. And thinking outside of the box is what will essentially free people from the matrix that they believe to be real. The thing is, what you find is that most indigenous cultures still think with their whole brain. They still view reality from both a left and a right brain perspective. Whereas most westernized people that exist within modern society, due to walking on flat ground and due to having square corners everywhere and this completely unnatural environment that they live in, and through the constant sensory bombardment that the left brain gets, people are not even aware that they're only using half their brain. They're not even aware that a right brain perspective of reality even exists. But a right brain perspective of reality is what helps you read the energy around you. It's what helps you understand the workings of the universe and the workings of reality. And it's what frees you from the matrix. An interesting experiment you can try is to, rather than focus always upon the matter that exists around you and the objects that exist around you, try to pay some attention to the space between the objects that is created by the presence of the object. We perceive it to be irrelevant to devote any attention to the spaces between objects. All we see are the objects, and so we create a world that is full of these objects, but we don't experience the real world because of it. We don't experience the energetic stuff that creates all of these objects. We only experience the objects themselves, simply due to the perception that we have and the perspective that we look at things from. And this is a perspective that we've been trained to look at things from through our left brain education system. And our religious systems are very, very good at preventing people from ever making these connections and looking within themselves, because our religious institutions are all designed to cause people to put their attention and their expectation upon something which is external to themselves, rather than ever looking for salvation from within. And there's a big clue in that. There's a big clue as to why such an extraordinary amount of effort and such meticulous attention has been devoted to detail in order to prevent mankind from ever gaining this understanding and from ever looking within themselves. Because it is within each of us that the answers to all of the problems we face ultimately lie. When you really begin gaining a clear understanding of the fact that it is an energetic universe and that everything that happens in the universe happens electromagnetically, you begin to see a little bit of why the human dilemma exists. You see, essentially what has happened is, because we have been cut off from our higher senses and we are unable to read the energy field around us, and we all need energy to survive, we tend to extract that energy from each other. We set up systems and business systems and social systems and relationship systems whereby we are able to harvest energy from other people. We put ourselves in a position where we have a constant flow of energy from those around us. Sometimes this can be quite beneficial and quite harmonious, and things can work out quite well, but it's never truly where we should be. And very often, it simply creates animosity and division. People tend to have stuff with other people. Many people may wish to hurt those who have wronged them or profit from people around them, and these sorts of things. And this is all energy harvesting. And they do this because they're disconnected from source. They simply don't know how to tap into the energy field that's all around us. And so they have to extract it from a more readily available source, which is another person. And that's basically what we do. And the reason this has become so prominent in modern society is because our societies themselves are fear-based. It's simply a system of fear-based mind control. I mean, that's all it really is, folks. Our education system is fear-based. Our social structure is fear-based. Our corporate and business world is all fear-based. It's all centered around a fear of shortage and the concept that the meaning of life is the one with the most stuff wins. And it's all fear-based. It's all fear-based and ego-based. The way to fix all of the problems that we face in the world is to remove fear from your consciousness. And I believe that something that is very beneficial and very helpful in removing that fear is to understand what reality is and how reality works. Because I've found that by incorporating a right brain understanding into your perception of reality, you can literally change reality. You can change your personal reality anyway. I mean, I've attracted so many different things into my life, and I've attracted so many different events and different people into my life simply through following the synchronicity in my life that becomes more apparent the more I open up my right brain. And you find that reality wants to interact with you, but you only want to interact with reality. And to try to put that a little bit clearer, it's like we feel that our input is all that matters. We don't consider the input of reality itself. And what you find is that you're actually part of this ongoing dialogue between you and reality. It's like a conversation that's going on between yourself and the universe, but you're not listening. The universe is attempting to speak to you, but you're not listening. It's like you're having a conversation with someone, but you're wearing earplugs and you can't hear what's being said to you, and you're the one who's doing all the talking. That's kind of the way we interact with reality. We talk to each other, we might talk to our animals, but we don't talk to the energy field around us. Well, we do talk to it, but we don't listen to what it says back to us. This is actually a language that you're speaking because you've forgotten what the language is, and you don't have the higher senses active that are required to perceive this language and comprehend this language. And you see, one of the biggest obstacles to you ever accessing these higher senses and ever understanding this language is fear. It's the vibration that fear sets up within your body, within your system, within your whole energy field. And this is why our entire society and everything about it is all based on fear. As I said, it's fear-based mind control. They control your mind so that you don't perceive anything outside of a left brain reality. You don't perceive anything outside of the 5 sense perception that you have of reality. And the reason I attempt to explain the way reality functions and look at things electromagnetically and attempt to help people understand the electrical nature of the universe is because I believe that when you have this understanding and you finally comprehend what reality is and how it works, then fear just falls away from you. You begin to see that there really is nothing to fear, and that the only real problem is the vibration of fear itself. That's the problem.